Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, dear present. It is a good opportunity to present our dear colleague Hussam Hassan Kalam with his topic, which is entitled Constituency Test. Before dealing with the topic, here is the biography of our dear colleague. His major specialty, linguistics and English language. Minor specialty, theoretical syntax and semantics. His educational career is graduated at the English Department, College of Education, University of Baghdad, 1995-1996. Got the MA degree at the same department in 1999. Lectured at Baghdad and Al-Yarmouk University, 1999-2000. Taught in secondary schools in Yemen, 2000-2002. Taught in Hadramaut University, College of Education. Department of English, 2000-2002-2004. Taught in Ahl Bayt University, College of Law, 2004-2009. And he's a member of teaching, staff in English Department, College of Education, Bابel University since 2009. He published two researches. Is it linking B?
For publication.
Is it linking B and auxiliary? What verbs and preposition have in common towards a unified treatment? So, Mr. Hassan, please carry on.
It's nice to meet you today. The subject I'm going to discuss it's merely a presentation. I'm just doing nothing. It's entitled Constituency Test. What we mean by constituency test is that we need to prove empirically sometimes the constituents of the sentence. What does the sentence consist of? We mean, of course, units larger than words. We have certain criteria or tests that are used by linguists to establish the constituents of the sentence. I mean, constituents larger than words. First, of course, it's okay to start with the meaning, to rely on the meaning relations between words. Which words go with which words are associated with which words. As far as meaning is concerned, but it is only a matter to start with. We rely on intuition. It's okay, but this intuition and meaning should not have the last say. We should rely on certain syntactic tests. So first of all, we have the semantic criterion. As I just said, usually linguist starts with the semantic criterion, but judgment by semantics is something tentative. So, for example, if we take the sentence, the young linguist will meet his friend in a local gallery after lunch. Probably everybody who has some knowledge of English can divide the sentence into some semantic units or meanings of sense. The first semantic unit or meaning of sense is the young linguist. Then the second semantic unit or unit of senses will meet his friend in the local gallery after lunch. Okay, so we have these semantic units. But of course, we need to prove this empirically, syntactically. The assumption this criterion is based on, the semantic criterion, is that any syntactic constituent is usually also a semantic constituent. Any syntactic constituent is also So the semantic criterion to establish constituents is based on the assumption that a syntactic constituent is also a semantic constituent. Okay, so this is the tentative analysis of the sentence. The young linguist, the first constituent, will meet second constituent, his friend, in the local gallery after lunch. But of course, alternatively, we have certain other opinions. Alternatively, they say that will is a constituent by itself, meet his friend in the local gallery after lunch, or meet his friend constitutes is a constituent. And of course, there are certain tests to prove this. I mean, this latter opinion that what follows the verb makes a constituent with the verb itself, and the verb does not make a constituent with the auxiliary. Probably this is based, first of all, based on the idea that since the verb assigns the semantic role, assigns what follows it, assigns the object its semantic role, so it should go with it. The verb should go with its object. The second test or criterion, which is related to the semantic criterion or unit of sense, is called sentence fragment. Sometimes, probably, it is very common for speakers of English or of any language to answer questions using sentence fragments. So, for example, if we take our first sentence, the young linguist will meet his friend in a local gallery after lunch. So if I ask a question, when will the young linguist meet his friend in the local gallery? So you can answer, you say, after lunch. Okay? So this is called a sentence fragment. This is also a test. This is a test to show that this string of words, sentence after lunch, is a constituent because it can serve as a sentence fragment. Probably these two sets have something to do with meaning more than syntax. But we have also some other syntactic tests which, of course, are more reliable. The first one is probably substitution. Okay, substitution. Substitution means that if any string of words, if a given string of words, you are not sure whether it is a constituent or not, if it can be substituted by a single word or with a single word, then it should be a constituent. Whether this single word is a lexical word or a pronoun, or in general a pro word, that is a word which can substitute another word. Since this substitution is considered a very firm test, and that's why if any string of words fails this test, it is surely that it is not a constituent at all. So taking sentence 3, that is the young linguist will meet his friend in local gallery after lunch, we have these substitutions. So instead of the young linguist, we have he. Since we can have one word which substitutes this string of words, the young linguist is considered a constituent. He will meet him, his friend. Okay, so him instead of his friends we have him. So it is a constituent. According to this test, here it is proved of it to be a constituent. There instead of in the local gallery, and afterwards instead of after lunch. So this test, substitution, is considered to be a reliable test, and any string which fails this test it is not a constituent. Reduction is another syntactic test. It is considered to be a type of substitution. And the idea is that if a string of words can be reduced to a single word, then it should be a constituent. Well, here, of course, when you say the word reduced means it is reduced to a single word that is part of the string in question. So if we have the sentence, the 7 days of food rejection therapy, well, this is an example. The 7 days of food rejection therapy included near drowning in a soup-filled jacuzzi. So since near drowning included something, near drowning in a soup-filled jacuzzi. Now, since this string can be reduced to one word, that is near drowning. Okay, so it is a constituent. So we can say the 7 days of food rejection therapy included near drowning. That's it. So since this string near drowning in a soup-filled jacuzzi can be reduced to one word, then it is a constituent. Well, of course, there is a word of caution here because sometimes a string of words cannot be reduced to a single word. Not because it is not a constituent, but because probably more than one part of the string is obligatory. So, of course, if we have more than one part obligatory in the string of words, then omitting the obligatory parts would result in an ungrammatical sentence. So this last test needs to be applied with caution. Then we have movement, also a test which is commonly relied on by linguists to prove whether a string of words is a constituent or not. They say that only constituents can be moved in the sentence, can be moved from one position to another in the sentence. We have two types of movements discussed in the literature, leftward movements and rightward movements. Leftward movements include such movements as involved in such movements as involved in fronting. In front an element, we shifted from a position probably in the middle of the sentence, the end of the sentence to the beginning of the sentence, for the sake of emphasis. And also in question formation. And these are exemplified in the sentences below. That is fronting and question formation. As an example of fronting, referring to the first sentence we mentioned in the discussion, meet his friend in a local gallery after lunch, he will. So here, we consider this sentence, fronting proves that meet his friend in a local gallery after lunch is a constituent. So the verb need does not go with will. This is as far as fronting. As far as question formation, actually in question formation we have questions include two types of tests, syntactic tests. The first one is substitution, because when you ask about something, you substitute it with a question word. When making double-H questions. So if we ask about the string of word his friend, we need whom to ask about it. So here we have substitution. The first constituency test. It proves that it is his friend is a constituent. Then we have movement. It is not only substituted with whom, but also it is shifted to the beginning of the sentence. So whom will the young linguist meet in the local gallery after lunch? This proves that his friend is a constituent. So, relying on two syntactic tests, the first one is substitution, the other one is movement. We have another type of movement, which is rightward movement. We consider leftward movement. Rightward movement involves such movements as involved in right node raising. And rightward movement, we have such movements as involved in processes such as right node raising and extraposition. And these are exemplified in the sentences below. This sentence. Louise writes and Thelma recites epic poetry. Okay, that is that here, epic poetry the string of words. It is proved to be a constituent here, a syntactic constituent, since it was moved, moved to the right, to a right position in the sentence. This is called right node raising. It is raised from the position in the object position of both verbs, right and recite, to a position rightward. So we get the sentence: Louise writes and Thelma recites epic poetry. Here, epic poetry is proved to be a constituent, syntactically speaking, because of this test of movement, a kind of movement called right node raising. Then extraposition. This is an example of extraposition, which is one type of right movement, rightward movement. A woman came here yesterday who sold second-hand books. A woman came here yesterday who sold second-hand books. Here, who sold second-hand books? This constituent, this string of words is proved to be a constituent because it was extraposed, that is moved from the position immediately following the noun. It modifies. A woman who sells second-hand books. This is the original shape of the sentence, let me say, or the usual form of the sentence. But here it is extraposed. The result of extraposition is what is called discontinuous constituent or discontinuous dependency. So we have a discontinuous constituent. A woman who sells second-hand books. Of course, this is a constituent, but was separated or disconnected by some parts of the sentence. Here, came here yesterday. So this step, extraposition, proves that who sells second-hand books is a constituent, syntactically speaking. This is all about movement, types of movement. Then we have vocalization, which is another syntactic test, which proves that a certain string of what is a constituent. By vocalization, we mean sometimes certain parts of the sentence can be vocalized, that is made the focus of the sentence, in either of two ways, either by clefting or pseudo-clefting. Of course, a cleft sentence starts with S. Notice here that, so here the criterion says, or the test says that if a string of words can be vocalized, can be made the focus of the sentence, then it is a constituent. Notice that in vocalization, in clefting and pseudo-clefting, they involve not only movement, but also a change in sentence structure. So it is different from, for example, from fronting. In fronting, we only have a shift in position. But here we have a movement in position and also a change in sentence structure. Here are examples. First example is a cleft sentence, clefting. It is his friend that the young linguist will meet in the local gallery after lunch. So here this cleft sentence proves that his friend is a constituent because it was moved from its original position after the gallery to a position elsewhere. Here also we have a change in structure, in sentence structure. It is his friend that the young linguist will meet in the local gallery after lunch. So this test proves that his friend is a constituent. As an example of a pseudo-cleft sentence, we have what the young linguist will do. For example, what the young linguist will do is meet his friend in a local gallery after lunch. This sentence proves that meet his friend in a local gallery after lunch is a constituent. And that's why will meet is not. Will meet is not a constituent. So here with this sentence, the pseudo-cleft sentence, or sometimes called double H cleft sentence, we prove that this string of words, his friend in a local gallery, meet his friend in a local gallery after lunch, is a constituent. And sometimes, of course, we can shift to the order of sentence or reverse the order of the sentence, saying that meet his friend in a local gallery after lunch is what the young linguist will do. These are types of focalized sentences or focalization. We have flexing and pseudo-flexing. Then we have coordination, another test, another syntactic test for constituency, or another test for syntactic constituency. The rule or the criterion says that if a given string of words can be coordinated with another, then that string of words is a constituent. So if a string of words can be coordinated, then it is a constituent. And there is also another point made here, that usually only constituents belonging to the same category can be coordinated. That is, for example, only a noun phrase can be coordinated with a noun phrase only, and resulting in a noun phrase also. So category, they belong to the same. So a noun phrase plus noun phrase equals a noun phrase. Then, for example, the sentence: John tore up the letter on the card. John tore up the letter on the card. Here, the letter is proved to be a constituent because it is coordinated with the card. And of course, this proves that it does not go with up. Okay, but it is an object. It is coordinated with the card, and both function as objects. The noun phrase plus noun phrase equals a noun phrase. The letter on the card is a noun phrase. Then we have the criterion of appearing in isolation. Of course, here the criterion says that if a string of words or a string of words proves to be a separate constituent, if it can appear in isolation. For example, if we consider the noun phrase "the Queen of England," if we take the Queen of England, a string of words, into consideration, the string Queen of England is established as a constituent. Yeah, I mean the string Queen of England only, not the Queen of England, is established as a constituent, which is called a noun bar in X-bar theory. It is called an intermediate projection because a noun phrase is considered to be a maximal projection of a noun, which is the head. So Queen of England only, in this noun phrase, the Queen of England is considered a constituent, since it can appear in isolation and function as a predicate of a copula, as in Elizabeth became Queen of England when she was very young. The Queen of England is established as a constituent, syntactically speaking, because it can appear in isolation, and that is without that. The other syntactic test is omission. And also here a word of caution needs to be said here. It is just like reduction. Omission is not a very reliable test because sometimes, first of all, to say the criterion is that if a particular string of words can be omitted from the sentence, leaving the sentence grammatical as it used to be, of course, then the string is a constituent. So if you can omit a string of words from the sentence, leaving it grammatical as it was, or as it used to be, then it is a constituent. But of course, here we have to apply this test with caution, because sometimes constituents are not omissible or are inadmissible because they are obligatory. Because they are obligatory constituents of the sentence, obligatory parts of the sentence. So, for example, taking this criterion or test into consideration, our original sentence, the young linguist will meet his friend in the local gallery after lunch, and the local gallery and after lunch are proved to be constituents because they can be omitted. So So the young linguist will meet his friend. That's it. In the local gallery here is established as a constituent because it can be omitted, and after lunch is established as a constituent because it can be omitted. The last constituency test, syntactic constituency test, is called intrusion. In English, as in probably all the languages of the world, we have some phrases that are called command phrases or parenthetical phrases. Well, these parenthetical phrases or command phrases cannot be added to the sentence just anywhere. They can only be added at constituent boundaries, and specifically at major constituent boundaries. So if you just insert one of these command phrases between one string of words and the other string of words, this proves that both strings of words at both sides of this command phrase or parenthetical phrase are constituents. So this is an example. The 7 days of food rejection therapy between you and me included near drowning in a soup-filled jacuzzi. Yeah, between you and me, this is a command phrase or parenthetical phrase, and since it is inserted here in the sentence, between the first string of words, the 7 days of food rejection therapy, and the second string of words included near drowning in a soup-filled jacuzzi, proves that these both strings of words on both sides of this parenthetical phrase are syntactic constituents. Here we have to, it is to be noted that the use of these tests, the above mentioned tests, the tests that we have just discussed, is not always or is by no means straightforward always. Even the same test may yield contradicting results, as in the following sentences. And these sentences are taken from Quark et al., 1985, the Comprehensive Grammar of English. He looked at the picture. Notice here we apply the clefting test. So we get it was at the picture that he looked, or it was the picture that he looked at. So it is the same test, clefting, gives two contradicting results. So either, and here of course the authors, Quark et al., comment on the sentences. They say that it is possible to regard other picture an obligatory adjunct. He looked, needs an obligatory adjunct of the picture. It is an adjunct, but it is at the same time obligatory. An analysis, of course, this analysis is supported by sentence 16b, that is, it was at the picture that he looked. And alternatively, it is possible to regard look at as a transitive verb with the picture as its object. An analysis supported by sentence here 16c, that is, it was the picture that he looked at. To sum up, it seems that it is safer to apply as many tests as possible before passing judgments on the constituency of any string of words. The more tests a given string of words passes, the more constituent-like it is. So things are not always clear-cut, as we always try to show, for example, to our students, just to simplify things. So things are not like this in reality. So sometimes we have some blurry areas, if we can say so. There is, it's not a matter of having a string being either a constituent or not a constituent, but sometimes you have more or less. Something which is more constituent-like than another, and so on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That's right from the beginning. It was just a presentation. I'm doing nothing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hassan, for your presentation. Now it's your role to raise any question or comment about the topic. Yes.
I guess, this is the first time, as we know, all of us is a scholar, so...
Thank you very much. You always praise me, always encourage me. I thank you very much. I need it. Anybody needs it.
But I didn't see his own contribution. He is just stating facts. So I guess there is no comment here. I don't have any comment because you are stating facts. Yeah, you said it a lot, and you fix here and there. Facts, you fix. I guess.
Well, I think the summary is mine. Yeah, the summary is mine. It is my conclusion. I came up with this conclusion. Also, the introduction you have in the handout. Yeah, yeah. I don't mean the word. I mean the idea.
They are selected from here and there.
Yes, okay. I said it is merely a presentation.
I know, and I guess they will.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I just wanted to take part. That's it. Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Yes,
Just one point, funding also requires sometimes change in structure, not only testing. Sometimes certain cases in which there must be inversion, for example. Here lies the problem, for example. So am I, neither am I. So sometimes فقط عندنا fronting without any change. Sometimes we have.
Of course, I've come across these sentences.
Yes, the preposition of phrase sometimes is also treated as one unit.
Prepositional phrase.
To John, مثلا, that Ahmed gave his present. And it is not John that Ahmed gave his present to. So both should be shifted in this case.
To John?
It is to John, it is to the young linguist that we gave, for example, certain encouragement or...
And here, of course, according to this test, to John is considered a constituent.
Yes. Well, generally speaking, in the grammar, we always treat the auxiliaries as one unit with the main verb, following it or there. In the example you have mentioned,
Following it or there. Now, if we have the introductory it or
will
there.
have been coming, will have been teaching. All of it is treated as a verb phrase. In the examples you have mentioned, you exclude the auxiliary, for example, will, depending on
Test.
yes, depending on the fact that it cannot form a grammatical sentence if you move it all. يعني saying, for example, meet here as regarding that he will, etc. And it seems quite convincing. And I agree with you on this respect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I don't think there's a question in mind, but I wanted to ask about your contribution. Have you presented or given any real test, or will you just introduce or depend on introducing examples taken from the web?
You mean in my research papers or what?
Yes, yes.
Of course, sometimes in your research papers, if you are interested in this area, in syntax, in theoretical syntax and semantics, you always need syntactic tests to prove whether a string of words is a constituent or not.
Yes, I think that you should have presented it with the paper that you distributed, I think, or you gave. I didn't receive any.
I have some.
Then in the paper that there is no, or there are no examples.
It was
Yeah,
cool.
that's why I thank you very much. to clarify what you are
Frankly
saying.
speaking, we didn't understand anything from this.
Something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice, but
There are
that
examples.
is nothing.
Some examples are needed, I think.
I mean, very, very
You
brief.
didn't mean examples in the handout?
Brief, constituency magazine.
This is done on purpose, to leave out.
I don't know.
I have a question, you know, I am a teacher of mine. I mean, all literature men and women ladies will probably ask the same question. So what?
You do not believe in this rubbish.
I'm not saying that, please. I'm not saying that, but I mean, so what? I mean, when we talk about application, when these forms or these sentence structures are used by a speaker or a writer, I mean, one is very different from the other. They cannot be alike. It is the young linguist who says, etc., is certainly different from the young linguist is doing this and that. So, there is no space of this in your, in the whole situation. I mean, we are after, I assume, that we are always after finding how much one form is, communicatively speaking, different from the other in helping the reader or the addressee or the audience getting at least an idea or a theme or a point. So when one varies his sentence structure or when one varies a form, certainly it is meant. It is meant, but it is addressed as something else. I mean, this has been neglected. You have just been using the thing mathematically speaking. This is it. It goes like that and that goes like that. But when A goes this way and B goes another, naturally there is a difference for us as audience.
Semantic point of view.
Yeah.
You see, the subject does not address this point. This is called constituency test. So there are tests. 1 plus 1 equals 2.
But the test should not be in vacuum. It should not be treated in vacuum. It can't go like that. I mean, language is not that. Language is a living, it's a creature, it's a creature, living organism. If it grows, it can, we use it as an approach to communicate with others. It can't so don't have to keep things as they are. Language is a living.
Yes, but our subject here we are presenting right now does not address this point we are talking about. I quite agree with you that they have different shades of meaning.
This is what I think this is what the Hamid and Mr. Riyal is after. People are after, and when they answer the question, they are asking what contribution it means, what is the value of applying one but not the other. This is what this for the future probably if you are interested in going ahead with this work, you probably will naturally think of how far the application will result in a variation in meaning. Thank you.
It seems purely grammatical.
Yes.
Purely grammatical. It's not pure science or applied science. Purely grammatical, very important this is in grammar, in fact. But certainly, in grammar, when you have certain rules, there is something behind them. صار عندنا fronting, صار عندنا lifting, صار عندنا etc. ليش? For certain, as you said, for emphasis, for rhetorical devices, for stylistic purposes.
Well, something related to what Prof. Saleh says and Prof. Riyad. I think that this paper or this presentation is related to a big grammatical tackle that is disambiguation. We have grammatical ambiguity, and these tests are, the significance of them is to disambiguate sentences. But even that, we study grammar. Why do we study grammar? Grammar is one linguistic level. It is not an end, it is a means. And the end is the meaning itself. the meaning is not necessarily expressed through grammatical sentences. Sometimes it is expressed through incomplete sentences, sentences that are incomplete grammatically. Once I talked about, I've read about what's called hypertext. Hypertext, extensive text, just like the headlines of newspapers or advertisements. When we have sentences, although they are called hypertext, but they are not text, they are sentences. However, they are incomplete at all. For example, in a British newspaper, wow, Big Brother rides again. This is ambiguous. How to disambiguate it? Or advertisements. You cannot have full sentences. They are incomplete grammatically. How could we apply these tests to such sentences? I mean hypertext, whether in advertisements or in headlines.
Sometimes you cannot apply them properly.
The language of journals, sometimes the subtitles are...
Yes, but the grammar works in all these fields.
You cannot say that it is void of grammar.
My point is that
There's no
grammar is not everything. We have something else that is coherent. I think that there are two parallel lines here. In grammar, we have sentence constituency. In discourse analysis, we have textuality of special, and I think that the best theory is the Seven Standard theory of Debugrand. Grammar, although he calls it, I think, grammaticality maybe, I'm not quite sure, coherence, cohesion, and even acceptability, then maybe grammaticality with it. These are among the standards of the theory. I think that you have concentrated on only one level of these 7 ones.
Thank you. Start with, although not all of us are interested in such a field, especially the literature group, but a word of compliment is obligatory here for not only for the topic but for your interesting accent. A question concerning the auxiliary, according to your text, you said that the auxiliary is not part of the, the main verb is there as a half constituent, and the auxiliary is set.
The main verb and what follows the main verb.
Yes.
Complements and adjuncts.
Yes, you excluded the auxiliary from being a constituent, to form a constituent with the main verb. What about if you have more than one auxiliary? Sometimes in verb phrases we have 2 auxiliaries or 3 auxiliaries.
The first will be a constituent, and the rest
What
will
about the rest? They are also auxiliaries, but still they are also auxiliaries.
You see, their main job is probably grammatical, that's it, functional. So, semantically speaking, it is the verb on what follows that constitutes the meaning.
Verb,
Yeah.
so they part of the main verb?
I don't claim that they have no meaning. The auxiliary and the first auxiliary is the operator and the following auxiliary. They have meaning, but they have what may be called grammatical meaning. They add, for example, information about tense, information about aspects.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hassan, you said the verb and what follows. What about the auxiliaries? The other auxiliaries, I mean, have, if you say, I have been like you.
part of the main verb.
So well is the first, the operator, will be excluded. What about the rest?
It should be excluded also.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments?
Well,
Yes.
I think Mr. Hassan has focused on something.
Because I like it, that's it.
Yes. The syntactic or the grammatical level. We see other notes. For example, Mr. Fuad said that talking about the journals. This is something I think out of the domain of the research of Mr. Hassan. Something different, not related to the research.
Grammar works in all fields.
Yes, but you know that now in advertising, you know that we have the license to avoid many grammatical rules. So I think that what Mr. Hassan has focused is the formal.
The significance of these tests is how to disambiguate sentences, although they have
But it
sometimes
don't take
elliptical
into account
items.
Yes.
Elliptical items are not only available in everyday life sentences or language, even in newspapers and advertisements.
Yes, but we can't rely on them as formal constructions.
Advertisements and headlines are not formal.
Yes, according to the sentence structure, I mean formal
patterns or
yes, patterns. This is something.
Do you say that they are not grammatical?
Yeah, but not.
They are for the sake of the
It
economy.
is the old case of grammaticality and acceptability.
Yeah, they have. I said they have a license to do many things to avoid many grammatical rules.
Even this license is systematized. There are rules. There is a grammar. Even hypertext has a grammar.
They have either irregular sentences or block language or
The grammar discusses the grammar which we discuss the irregular sentence of this. We discuss everything.
Yeah, for example, in newspaper headlines, they usually omit words that have little lexical meaning or no lexical meaning at all. For example, on
They focus on meaning.
they focus on the words that bear the heaviest syntax, lexical content.
So we have ellipses. How to fill these gaps? Do these tests where
I don't know. I cannot answer. Probably some of them.
maybe if we make a test, we may have results.
Okay, any other comments, please? Okay, thank you, Mr. Hassan, once again. Thank you, our presence, for your presence.